Okay, we're into lesson 4 of our beginners modules. For this lesson we're going to be taking a look at some basic bar chords. Now the idea of a bar chord is that we can move our basic open position shapes around the neck, changing the name of the chord, but without changing the fingering of the chord. We just simply move it up and down. Before we do this, we need to be able to hold a bar, and in previous lessons we've looked at holding partial bars, barring across 3 strings, 2 strings. For this approach we need to hold either 5 or 6 strings. Let's take a look at our 6-string bar. To start off with, I'd keep my thumb and second finger in line with each other, hold the thumb on the back of the neck, and then add the bar, laying it slightly on the outer edge of the finger. Now make sure that you apply even pressure. Don't grip and push down too hard. All that will do is adjust the pitch of the strings. Just lightly lay the finger across, and then pick each individual string to make sure that the notes are ringing nice and clearly. Okay, before we move our chords around, we have to be aware of one note in particular, which is the root note. Now the root note is the note that gives the chord its name. So if I'm playing an E chord, E major, the root note of that chord is E. If I'm playing A major, the root note of that chord is A. So, to start off with, we're going to move the E bar chord, the E shape around, turning it into a bar chord. To do this, we have to change the way that we hold the chord, change the fingers. Instead of using our first, second and third fingers, we're going to use our second, third and fourth fingers, which gives us this. Now what I'm going to do is shift the chord up by 1 semitone or 1 fret. Now in doing that, I'm not moving the distance of these notes that I'm holding. They still remain the same. But if I'm going to move these notes up, I need to compensate and move the open strings up. I can't be... Okay, in some places it works, it sounds great. But in other positions, it doesn't sound so good. So take that E chord, shift it up by 1 semitone, apply the bar, and that gives us our new chord. Now, whereas before when we were holding the original E chord shape, the root note was coming from the bottom string, it was the note of E. When I shift it and bar, the root note is still coming from the same string, but just coming from a different fret. If we raise the E note up by a semitone, it becomes the note of F. And that gives us the chord of F major. Now, to take full advantage of this technique, we need to be aware of the names of the notes on our bottom 2 strings, or to start with our bottom 2 strings anyway. For the E chord, our root note is on the E string, so we need to know all of the notes on the E string. So let's run through them. Open E, that's an E. First fret, F. Second fret, F sharp or G flat. Third fret, G. Fourth fret, G sharp or A flat. Fifth fret, A. Sixth fret, A sharp or B flat. Seventh fret, B. Eighth fret, C. Ninth fret, C sharp, D flat. 10th fret, D. 11th, D sharp, E flat. 12th, we're back to E, and then everything starts again. So the 13th fret is the F note, same as the first fret. F sharp at the 14th, same as the second fret. So what we can now do is take our basic E major bar shape. There's E, F, F sharp or G flat, G, G sharp, A flat, A sharp, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D flat, D, D sharp, E flat, and then E. So from our one chord shape, we can play a total of 12 chords. So whereas before we could play, say, A, D and E using open position, we can now play A, D and E. The progression will sound the same in the sense that you're playing, the same chords, but because we're using a new shape, the order of the notes within this shape are different. They're stacked differently. They're stacked in the way that they would be if you were holding an E chord. Whereas you play a regular A chord, it has 2 roots, or 2 A notes, 2 E notes, and 1 C sharp. If I hold an A chord but using the E chord shape, it will have 3 A's, 2 E's, and 1 C sharp. So it has the voicing or the order of notes found within the E shape.